You gotta love the watch, the beautiful curves, the contours. What a svelte timepiece. This is about the only beautiful physical thing you're gonna see on me. I wonder, do we buy watches to uh, to create change or to create the illusion of change because we're not really experiencing change in our real life. We're not producing, we're not creating, we're not innovating, we're not identifying problems in our life and creating effective solutions to those problems. I wonder if the watch becomes, or just buying anything becomes a form of compensation. And I want to talk about that today in the context of the fact that since January 1st, almost 60 days ago, I resolved to lose between 20 and 30 pounds. I would have been happy losing 20. I weighed 240 on January 1st, and here we are. It's almost March 1st, and I still weigh 240. The good news is I haven't gained any weight. The bad news is I haven't lost any weight. I've completely failed. I have this big gut, which is particularly noticeable to me when I take a shower. I'm always checking myself out, getting in and out of the shower. And the gut is just, it's devastating to me psychologically. It's like looking at it is like a prison sentence. It's like you have been sentenced to low self esteem, depression, and learned helplessness. My gut worries me. It's a bad omen. Nothing good can come out of it. Being fat makes you snore louder. And when you snore louder, you have sleep apnea. And when you have sleep apnea, your heart stops when you're sleeping. And when you're fat, it's just a sign to you and to the world that you're helpless. And life is all about being able to have solutions and not being helpless. I mean, we all like to talk about dieting, not because dieting's interesting, but what we're interested in is, do people have the tools and the will and the possibility of change? And when people are just stuck at being fat, as I am with my fat gut, it's like a bad omen. I tell you, my gut just it's not doing well for me. What does it remind me of? It reminds me of bad things, like when you have a leaky roof. That represents there's going to be a flood. Or when you are at a football game with your children and there's a bunch of drunk bros. They're screaming and they're getting drunk and they're using language in front of your children that is not good for your children to hear, and you can tell by the look of those drunk bros that they don't care. And you get the feeling that even though things are bad now, things are going to get worse. Things are going to go south. There's going to be like a stampede, and you and your children are going to get trampled by a bunch of drunk bros. That's what I think of all these warning signs when I see my gut. When I see my gut, I see a giant crystal ball, and in it are the Peloponnesian Wars, which represent my inner strife, my unresolved conflicts. Look at the watch, man. Just look at the watch. Don't look at my gut. Look at that beautiful watch. So I'm very upset about weighing 240 almost 60 days after resolving to lose weight. But on the other hand, I don't want to be this guy, this fat man who sits in front of YouTube and cries about himself. I want to find solutions. And man, just thinking about the solution tires me out. I have no excuse for being fat or for having this giant bad omen of a gut. I work out religiously with kettlebells and I do some other stuff. And I know a lot about nutrition. The problem is, in spite of all that knowledge, I eat like a demonically possessed elephant. And 60 days after the fact, it's time for me to regroup. It's time for me to reassess. And I think I have some strategies. I'm confident that I'll be able to report back in a couple weeks with some success. Here's what's happened. Two things have happened. Number one, I regularly read Bart Ehrman's blog. Now, the irony of this is Bart Ehrman is not into dieting or anything. He writes about religious history, and I read his blog, I read his books on religious history, a subject that interests me quite a bit. And for some reason, he had this unusual post about a week ago that had nothing to do with religious history. It was about him going to the doctor, and his doctor told him, "You have pre-diabetes." I guess that's something that exists. I hadn't heard of it until I read his blog. You can have something that indicates you're about to get diabetes too. And so his doctor put him on a Mediterranean diet, which it's been very good for him. He pretty much went off white flour and white sugar and sugars in general. And he's eating mostly fish, fruits, vegetables, some whole grains. He's even eating some potatoes and pastas and stuff, which is somewhat contrary to the paleo low-carb diets that are very popular these days. But the fact of the matter is he's lost a lot of weight. People noticed it when they saw him doing some of his debates on YouTube. And so he decided to comment on it, and he's feeling better, and obviously his doctor's happy for him that he's probably no longer pre-diabetes too. So I told my wife I'm going to go on the Mediterranean diet, and she was immediately very supportive of it, and we all did research on it. And so I will be drinking a lot of olive oil, garbanzo bean, feta cheese smoothies. No, I'm not. I'm not going to drink any smoothies. That sounds disgusting. Actually, smoothies make you fat. I know this because one of my students works at Jamba Juice, and she told me all of her customers are fat, and they're getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And we discussed this for a while, and it became clear that smoothies are never a meal replacement. They might fill you up for about 10 minutes, but what happens is you just eat on top of the smoothie. So smoothies are just calories in addition to all the other calories you're eating. So I won't be drinking any smoothies, maybe once a month or something. But the Mediterranean diet, I looked it up, and it looks very promising. I like the foods on it. Can't eat as much red meat. No white pasta or white flour or white sugar. That's fine. I've been overeating. Man, God, my wife had a birthday. The next day, my twins had birthdays, and they like donuts. So I was at King's Hawaiian Bakery, and we were eating apple jelly donuts, which were very delicious. I hope I got that out of my system. But the diet looks pretty promising. I went online, and I saw you could actually have for breakfast yogurt buckwheat pancakes. And the serving size was 400 calories. I told my wife, I've never eaten a pancake breakfast in my life that was fewer than 3,000 calories. I can't believe we could actually have a 400 calorie breakfast. And she said, "You are so old school, man. That's how they used to eat pancake breakfasts back when you were a kid, man. You can actually eat a 400 calorie pancake breakfast now. Get with the times, dude." So she let me know in no uncertain terms that I'm a little old-fashioned. My idea of a pancake breakfast, I guess, doesn't coincide with what's going on today. The other thing I noticed about all these Mediterranean menu plans is that the daily total of calories was never over 1,600. You know what, man? It's 2016. I haven't had 1,600 calories a day since 1981. When I entered the Mr. Teenage San Francisco, I was runner-up in that, and I only was motivated to do that because I wanted to impress a girl who I took with me to the contest, and that never worked out. That was a complete fiasco. But I did go down and weight, and I got all shredded. And if I ate 1,600 calories a day for the rest of my life, I would weigh 180 pounds. My daughters wouldn't recognize me. They would think my wife had divorced me and had remarried someone. I'm 240, and if my math serves me, what are we talking about? 60 pounds? More than that? Are we talking 80 pounds? I can't do math right now. But that's ridiculous. I think, what's 180 and 60? 240? Yeah, so we're talking 60 pounds. I would be happy if I got my calories under 2,500. So the other thing I like about the Mediterranean diet, it just sounds great. I like the word Mediterranean. I could see myself on a sailboat, being skinny and tanned and wearing a sailor shirt, one of those shirts with the low neck and the stripes on it, the horizontal stripes. And maybe I have Sophia Loren by my side and I'm speaking Italian. Maybe I'm speaking French. but I like the way the Mediterranean word just sounds. Or maybe I would be a shepherd, a skinny, muscular shepherd boy wearing a loincloth, picking olives at Mount Vesuvius. I'm really liking the word Mediterranean. It sounds better than a lot of those diets that are out there. Have you ever heard of the Master Colon Cleanse? That doesn't sound like a diet. That sounds like a CIA interrogation technique. I think I'll stick with the Mediterranean diet. So the first thing I have done in reassessing my fat belly, my 240-pound stagnation, is I've identified that I'm going to go on the Mediterranean diet. This started 4 days ago, okay? Now, the second thing I did, so I'm not just some fat crybaby, begging for pity from the YouTube community. I'm so fat and there's nothing I can do. The second thing I've done is I've identified some trigger food environments. I've identified two. And knowing what I know about calories, I think these two things I've identified should cut my calories down and help me lose weight over the long haul. The first thing I'll tell you is putting my twins to bed and getting them to go to sleep is a huge accomplishment. I'm exhausted. I feel like I've done something amazing. It's like the most difficult thing I do in my life is getting my twins to bed, to sleep. They want 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready for to go, where I throw them up in the air and then they want to get more blankets. They want more water. They want to know what's going on. They have all these questions. And just thinking about it makes me exhausted. So what happens is after I put my girls to sleep, having this sense of accomplishment, I want to reward myself with food. And this is made worse by the fact that my wife and I sit in front of the TV, we'll watch Netflix as a sort of a reward. And I am so hungry at this time that I can't even focus on the show. And I just want to eat a whole bag of pretzels with hummus or something like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm drinking 32 ounces of hot ginger tea. And if I have to, I'll eat an apple with that. But that 32 ounces of hot ginger tea in my belly, it sates me like a little baby who just has been breastfed. And I feel sated by that enough that I'm not eating all the pretzels and pizza and cereal, all these bowls of cereal. And so my calories are getting cut down in that area. The second food trigger environment is when I go to work. When I go to my office before class starts, I'm starving. I don't know what happens to me. My appetite increases tenfold. And I'm a creature of habit. And, breaking out of the shackles of learned helplessness is about examining our habits. And what I bring to school is a bag with 2 bananas, 2 apples, and a bag of peanuts. The peanuts are ruining my life. Peanuts for me are crack cocaine. I think I'm bringing about 500-600 calories worth of peanuts every day to work. And I eat them like a demon. As I said, they're like crack cocaine. I can't stop eating them as soon as I get in my office. And I feel badly for students who come to my office who need help on their essays because I'm eating so ravenously that sometimes I accidentally eat my students' fingers off and they exit my my office. They're crying and their hands are now just these bloody stumps. And this does not serve me well at all when I'm getting my teacher evaluations. So what I've done, and it hasn't even started yet. I thought of this just on Thursday, my last day of teaching until the new cycle starts today, Monday. I'm not bringing peanuts anymore to work. I'm done with the peanuts. I'm done with the crack cocaine. I'm going to bring 12 almonds. Yes, 12 almonds. In addition to my bananas and my apples, I'm bringing 12 almonds. That's 100 calories, about maybe 8,700 calories. That's a hell of a lot fewer calories than all those peanuts I've been eating. So I'm thinking I've got 2 sensitive calorie areas been reduced. And I'm eating the Mediterranean diet. I'm hoping that I can report back in a month or something like that. Who knows? Maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. With some good news. I don't want to be the learned helpless guy. I don't want to be the depressed guy. I don't want to be this fat belly omen. The belly is not just a physical oppression. It's a psychological oppression. I'm fighting against it. I'm trying to recondition some of my habits. I'm using a habit model of behavior. I don't look at overeating necessarily as a disease. Could be partly a disease and partly habits. I don't know. But that's it. I'll report back. I'll let you know what's going on. And until next time, I'm out.